Hello and welcome back. Today we will be learning about Copilot SDK and what it is all about. Copilot SDK was released a couple of weeks ago, or it might be as recent as last week. I really don't remember. But the point is, it is quite recent and it is in its technical preview state, which essentially means that you cannot use it for production. But it is ready for development. And what we will do today is try to sniff around and get a feel about what it is all about. So let us get right into it. I am on the official page of Copilot SDK and I'll be sharing the link in the video description below. So do check that out. So if you scroll down this page, this is essentially the GitHub repo for Copilot SDK. You'll find a very comprehensive documentation in the readme.md file, right? And it gives a description about the available SDKs. So right now the available official SDKs are Node.js, TypeScript, Python, Go, and .NET. If you scroll to the bottom, they also do mention some unofficial but community-based SDKs. So essentially, it will also work with languages such as Java, Rust, C++, and Clojure. But they have given a disclaimer that these are unofficial community-driven SDKs and they're not supported by GitHub. Use at your own risk, but I'm sure this will work. Let's scroll up again. And then let us get to the getting started section. This is where they describe how you can install it, how you can use it, and why you should use it. The prerequisite for using Copilot SDK is that you should have Copilot CLI installed in your system. So if you do not have it, just click on this link. It will take you to this page, okay, which explains how you can install GitHub Copilot CLI. Remember, this is the CLI that should be installed in your system. So based on which operating system you are, you have different options. So if you're installing with Mac OS and Linux, you could use Homebrew, or if you're using Windows, you could use Winget, and you could just install this. I've already installed it, so let me show you. I open my command prompt and let me just, since I've already installed Copilot, the way I can launch it is by just typing Copilot. I am on a Windows operating system, by the way. I just type in Copilot and this should jumpstart my Copilot CLI. It's very similar to other CLI tools like Gemini, Cloud Code, Codex, if you've used that. And you can essentially see the different options by just typing the / right? So if you can configure an agent. I'm not configure any agent. I don't believe I have. If you want some MCPs, you have that. You can see the models. Okay, let us just have a quick look at the models available. And you'll notice this is exactly the same that is available in GitHub Copilot, the desktop version, the app if you have it. So these are the models that are available. You will also notice you do not have an option, or at least I could not find an option where you could add your own models. So these are the models that come inbuilt with GitHub Copilot. If you're wondering about the subscription plans for Copilot plans, just go to this URL right here, which is github.com/features/copilot/plans, and there you have a list of all the available plans. So you have the free plan, okay? And what's included, you have 50 agent mode, chat requests per month, 2000 completions per month, and you have access to Haiku 4.5 and GPT 4.1, which are essentially the free models that you could use. What I would recommend is that you go for the pro model if you have the budget, and believe me, it's worth it. So you have unlimited agent mode and chats with GPT-5 Mini. You have unlimited code completions. You have access to other models. So your 1x, 0.33x context windows. The cost shown is essentially the cost for these other models there, and you can have 300 premium requests to use the latest models. So this is what I would highly recommend for personal use. And if you really are quite rich and you don't worry about money, you could just go for the Pro Plus versions, which is around 40 USDs per month. I'm back on the GitHub repo for Copilot SDK, and if you go to the architecture section here, it tells you how it works, how it essentially is supposed to be used. So you have your application, you have your SDK client, okay, which so your client would connect to your Copilot SDK, and which in turn would communicate with your Copilot CLI, and that's why Copilot CLI is a prerequisite. You should have it installed and probably authenticated as well. And the SDK client, your Copilot SDK client, communicates with your Copilot CLI using JSON RPC protocol. Okay, what does all of this mean? And what is the difference between CLI and Copilot SDK? Why should you use both of them, or should you be using it at all? Now, the way I see it is that Copilot CLI is something you can use to build your AI applications or any applications for that matter. So you are using AI to build an application, right? Now, your Copilot SDK is something that you use, okay, to build an AI app, right? So you use the SDK within your app to converse with an AI agent. So it is used to build an AI app. So this is something you use within your app, whereas GitHub Copilot is something you use to build your app from the outside. Hopefully that makes sense. But if not, do not worry, I have your back covered, because we will be seeing a few simple demos which will make it crystal clear on how Copilot SDK works and how it is different to Copilot CLI. Also have a glance at the subscription usage guidelines and how the billing works for the SDK usage. Does it support bring your own key, etc., etc.? What tools are enabled by default? Just have a read through, quite interesting what models are supported. But what we are really interested is in this section here, getting started. So if you click on that, okay, it will take you to this page right here. And again, I will be giving the links of these URLs, these pages that I am demoing in the video description below. So do check those out. Just a reminder there. And this gives a very detailed explanation on how you can use your Copilot SDK. Again, it gives you a reminder on the prerequisite, which is your Copilot CLI should be installed and working, and you can just verify it's up and working by running this command in your prompt, your command prompt, right? And then it goes on to give the details on how to build your app. So the first step it says is you can initialize your directory using this command, and I'll be using the npm language, the Node.js language. If you wanted, you could use Python if you're more comfortable with it. So you just need to expand the Python part. If you are using Go, you could do that. .NET, you could just expand that, and you could just follow the instructions. Remember, if you're using something like Java, Rust, or C Sharp, or Clojure, you could also use their unofficial community maintained SDKs. So this is there in their official GitHub repo readme.md file. So if you scroll down towards the bottom, this is where you can find the links that essentially support these languages. I'm anyway going to use Node.js, so I'll stick with that. Now let us see this in action. So go ahead and create a directory, give it any name you want, just cd into it, and then run this command. Okay. Since I'm using Node.js, I'll be using this command. If you're using some other language, please follow the instructions for that language there. So just let me copy this and just let me open my code editor. I'm inside VS Code, but you could essentially use any code editor of your choice there. So you can see I've created an empty folder named demo, and this is where I will be creating my scripts, Node.js scripts. So let me open my terminal and let this me copy paste that command, right? So init that module. So I'm just doing an initialization of npm, and there it is. So my package or my folder has been initialized. Let us now run the second step, which is installing the Copilot SDK and the TypeScript runner. So just copy paste this command and run it in your command prompt. So let me just paste it here and just run that. Let me increase the screen state prompt so that you can see what is going on. And there you go. Just install the GitHub CoPilot SDK and the TypeScript task runner. Let us now build our first app. So create a file called index.ts and just copy paste this command. So I'm just copy pasting this, sorry, not the command, copy paste the script here, right? So just copy this and I'll create the script and name it index.ts. So let me come here and let me just create the index.ts file and I'll just paste this right. There you go. And let me just minimize this. Okay, and you can see there is a problem with the process command here, and essentially it says that it cannot find the name of process. You need to install the type definition. So let us do that. And the command for that is npm install space hyphen hyphen save hyphen dev space @types / node. This is not something that's given in the documentation there, so you might just want to pause it here and note it down. So just install it, and now you have seen that the error has disappeared. So this should now hopefully work. So let's try running this. The command for running it is given in the official documentation, so just refer to it. It's just npx space tsx space the script name, which is in, hit and enter, and you should see the response is 2 plus 2 equal to 4. So this is a hard-coded question, so response, yeah, there you go, 2 plus 2 equal to 4, and we're using GPT 4.1 as a model. So very, very simple script which interacted with an AI model, GPT 4.1 in this case, and it used the GitHub Copilot SDK, right? So we built an app which interacts with an AI model. As simple as that. That is what Copilot SDK is used for. Now let us try to build another app, which I believe is a streaming response. Let's just go to the page and let's just check it out. I'm back on the repo page and let's scroll down for the second app. Yes. And what the second app essentially does is it just asks the AI model to generate a short joke. So you should see the streaming response. Now, in the interest of time, I've already copied this and I have created the app. So just let's run it. So as I mentioned, I've already created the app there and I just added a few commands. It's exactly the same. So there are no differences here. So if you just compare it line by line, you'll just see that I've added some commands to make it, I've added some comments to make it more sensible for anyone referring in future. That anyone would essentially be me, right? So it always is helpful to add comments because when you refer it after some time, it makes sense what you have written. Now let us just run this. Okay. So the command would be npx space ts space the script name. I've named the script index_2.ts, as you can see, and that's why I'm running it as index_2.ts. In your case, if you just named it index.ts, just use that name instead. So let me hit enter, and you should see a short joke. Hopefully will make us laugh. Yeah. Why did the scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Yeah, that's funny. Come on, guys. It is funny, isn't it? Exactly the same program that we saw in the repo page here, just added a few comments. Okay. Now they have a third script, which is adding a custom tool for predicting the weather. And in this, what they've done is doesn't actually predict the weather. So it just uses a random function, mathematics random function, to generate the temperature to give a illusion of it actually predicting or stating the temperature in a city, right? So we'll just run that, and again, in the interest of time, I'll not be running this script, but the last one, which is an interactive assistant whereby you could actually ask it, give it a city name, and it will generate that it will generate a response stating that this is the temperature in that city. Again, it will use a max random function. It won't be the actual temperature, but this is just to give a feel of how your AI app would work, right? So if you just go through the script here, it's quite good. They have used a max random function, and they're using GPT 4.1 as their model. So I've already copy pasted this, so and added some comments. So let me just so I tried to run the script ditto as copied from the repo. It worked except for the exit part, whereby it did not recognize it as a command and it just kept on generating responses, right? So I had to refactor that part alone, and this is the refactoring there. So where if the user types in exit, I'll just stop all background connections. If there's an error, I'll catch the error, and finally I'll make sure that all processes are exited. Just a small deviation from what was actually shown in the code repo, which was this part here, right? A simple refactoring. Other than that, I've just added a few bits and pieces of comments, code comments, just to help me understand in future what I was actually trying to do. So let me just run this, okay, and the command again very similar, npx space tsx space the script name, which in this case is weather underscore assistant dot ts. So this should ask me a question which city I want the temperature there. Okay, so it's just saying what do you want, what's the weather in Paris. So let me ask what is the weather in Trivandrum. So I am in Trivandrum, which is a beautiful city, right, in the southernmost part of Kerala, India. Highly recommend that you do visit this place if you haven't had a chance. It's really beautiful, right? So I have got the answer, which is the weather in Trivandrum is sunny with a temperature of 56°F. Now remember, this is not the actual temperature. It's just a random max function which it's generating. So it's just using this function right here to give the illusion of a temperature in Fahrenheit being generated. Now let me just type in exit, and the exit should now work. There you go. And with that, we are at the end of our session for today. Hopefully, you could discern the difference between Copilot SDK and Copilot CLI, how to use Copilot SDK, and when to use it. It is a good tool, but remember, it is not production ready. So keep that in mind while you play around with it. I will be back with more interesting sessions. So till then, adios.